The friend who claps the loudest for you is sometimes studying how to outrun you. You feel it in tiny moments, long before you can prove anything to yourself clearly. Their smile lands right, but something underneath it leaves you strangely tense inside long afterward. They celebrate your news, then go quiet, distant, sarcastic, or suddenly impossible to reach afterward. You start wondering whether you imagined it because nothing they do looks openly cruel outside. That confusion is the trap, and fake friends survive inside exactly that kind of fog. They do not always attack directly because direct jealousy would expose the insecurity driving them. So they choose a softer mask, one shaped like support, loyalty, advice, and concern instead. And if you miss that mask, you hand them front row seats to your life. By the end, you will recognize their hidden competition and stop feeding it with trust. First truth people learn too late: supportive words can still carry hostile intent underneath easily. A fake friend does not always want your collapse, they just need your shine reduced. They can handle your pain better than your progress, because pain keeps the relationship balanced. When you are struggling, they feel useful, superior, safe, and quietly reassured about themselves again. When you rise, they lose that position, and their friendliness starts leaking strange little cuts. It happens through jokes, delays, lukewarm praise, missing support, or weirdly timed discouragement from them. You tell them good news, and somehow the conversation pivots back to their harder journey. You share a win, and they answer with a warning nobody supportive needed to mention. You open up excited, and they respond like an unpaid critic disguised as your ally. That is why you leave interactions feeling smaller even when no obvious insult was spoken. The damage is subtle because subtle damage makes you argue with your own instincts afterward. You replay messages, facial expressions, pauses, and tone, searching for proof your body already noticed. Most people call this overthinking, but often it is pattern recognition without enough language yet. You are not weak for sensing tension before evidence, you are catching emotional math early. And the emotional math is simple: your growth threatens people whose identity depends on comparison. Some friends do not connect through love, they connect through being slightly above you emotionally. They feel steady when you need help, but unstable when you no longer need permission. That is why your confidence can provoke more tension than your mistakes ever did before. Confidence changes the hierarchy, and hidden competitors are obsessed with hierarchy even inside friendship circles. They want access to your warmth, not evidence that you can thrive without them easily. Watch what happens after compliments, because the competition usually appears right after the applause ends. They praise your promotion, then mention how draining leadership can become for someone like you. They admire your relationship, then hint that your partner seemed distant or distracted lately though. They celebrate your idea, then plant doubt about risks or whether people will resent it. This is not honest caution, it is emotional needlework designed to puncture momentum without fingerprints. Smart manipulators avoid quotable statements, preferring feelings you cannot easily prove or confront later directly. That is why fake friendship feels emotionally expensive while looking perfectly normal from the outside. And that outside image protects them because nobody suspects the person always posting supportive comments. But public support can be part performance, especially when private behavior tells a different story. They champion you publicly when it benefits their image, then undermine you where it counts. They forget referrals, exclude you from plans, withhold useful information, or act strangely unavailable suddenly. If challenged, they act surprised, wounded, or confused that you could think something so unfair. That reaction matters because fake friends often defend their image harder than their behavior itself. A real friend wants clarity, but a fake friend wants innocence without accountability first, always. So they keep everything blurry, where your discomfort looks petty and their behavior stays deniable. One of the clearest signs is inconsistency, whenever your life begins moving faster than theirs. Suddenly they take longer to reply, forget important days, or sound bored by your excitement. Nothing is dramatic enough to confront easily, yet everything adds up inside your nervous system. That is the quiet brutality of covert competition. It drains you while preserving their mask. And once you are drained, you become easier to manage, doubt, and emotionally outmaneuver too. This is why their friendship can feel addictive, because the warmth is real sometimes too. Intermittent kindness is powerful because your brain keeps hoping the good version will stabilize again. That hope makes you excuse patterns you would recognize immediately if they came from strangers. You keep honoring history, while they keep using history as cover for current behavior today. Maybe you have known them for years, which makes betrayal harder to name out loud. Long history creates emotional credit, and fake friends spend that credit while giving less back. They assume your loyalty will survive what your self-respect should never have tolerated anyway. Another sign is how they handle your vulnerability after you trusted them with it deeply. At first, they listen closely, almost tenderly, like someone grateful to be trusted fully there. Later, that same pain returns as a joke, comparison, or subtle weapon against you somehow. They remember exactly where you doubt yourself, because that is where control enters easiest quietly. A jealous friend rarely competes on your strengths, they compete through your soft spots instead. That is why you feel strangely exposed around them, even during ordinary conversations sometimes too. They are scanning for leverage, not necessarily consciously, but consistently enough to affect you deeply. And the deeper problem is not jealousy alone, it is entitlement hiding underneath jealousy too. They believe your access, attention, energy, and updates should still belong partly to them somehow. So when you grow, they do not just feel insecure, they feel personally deprived inside. That is why boundaries trigger them, because boundaries interrupt the benefits they extracted from you. When you stop oversharing, they accuse you of changing, distancing, hiding, or becoming arrogant now. But what changed is simple. They lost the backstage pass to your emotional world finally. Here's where many good people strengthen the competition without realizing what they are doing. They respond to mixed signals by trying harder, explaining more, and offering even better friendship. That feels mature, but with a fake friend, effort often becomes evidence you are manageable. The more you explain your intentions, the more material they gain to use against you. The more you chase reassurance, the more they learn how much ambiguity you will tolerate. And the more you keep proving loyalty, the less they respect the cost you pay. This is the part most people miss. Fake friends study your reactions like data points. They notice what shuts you down, what hooks you, and what makes you over-explain fast. If guilt works, they use guilt with a wounded face and perfect timing every time. If silence works, they disappear just long enough to make you question your own worth. If praise works, they flatter you first, then slip control inside the compliment softly afterward. Nothing about this requires evil genius, only insecurity, envy, and repeated permission from you lately. And permission often looks innocent, like another chance, another explanation, another ignored warning sign again. But once you see the pattern, your energy stops leaking through the same open door. You stop treating every strange moment like a misunderstanding that needs your emotional labor again. You start asking a better question: what consistently happens to me after I trust them? Do I feel supported, or do I feel subtly reduced, confused, and indebted afterward again? That question changes everything, because fake friendship survives on moments viewed separately instead of patterns. Patterns reveal motive long before confessions ever do, and motive determines how close someone belongs. Now the power shift begins, and it is quieter than most people expect at first. You do not win with speeches, evidence files, or perfectly phrased confrontations against them either. You win by becoming harder to read, harder to provoke, and harder to use emotionally. That means less explaining, less instant access, and less free emotional transparency for them now. It means answering what was asked, not volunteering the vulnerable details they have not earned. It means noticing bait without swallowing it, especially when the bait sounds caring outside first. When they say they are only worried about you, listen for the hidden downgrade inside. When they joke about your success, do not rush to prove you are humble enough. When they minimize your progress, let the silence expose what your defensiveness would have covered. A calm pause is powerful because manipulative people often depend on your immediate reaction most. If you do not provide that reaction, their script suddenly loses rhythm and power fast. You can answer with short truths that close doors instead of opening emotional hallways again. Saying I already made my decision works better than essays defending your reasons today anyway. Saying I am not available for that conversation protects your peace without inviting another courtroom. Saying you can think that ends arguments fake friends expected you to emotionally sponsor anyway. Noted is useful when someone wants access to your nervous system more than dialogue today. These responses work because they deny the manipulator their favorite reward, your emotional spillover, completely. And when spillover stops, fake support suddenly has less reason to stay performative around you. Some of them pull away when they cannot compete, control, or harvest reactions any more easily. Let them, because anyone threatened by your boundaries was benefiting from your lack of them. The goal is not to expose every fake friend with a dramatic final speech anyway. The goal is to stop offering intimacy where envy has already made safety impossible there. That may look like less access, slower replies, fewer updates, and firmer endings from you. It may look like being friendly without being confessional, warm without being fully available anymore. It may feel unfamiliar at first because healthy people are used to leading with openness. But openness without discernment is not kindness, it is unguarded access for the wrong people. And the wrong people do not need your worst secrets to weaken you at all. They only need enough emotional visibility to predict where you will bend for peace next. So become less predictable in the places where guilt used to move you most easily. Do not answer immediately just because they wrapped urgency around your loyalty this time either. Do not overcorrect your boundaries because they suddenly act hurt, confused, or sentimental again afterward. Do not keep proving you are good to people committed to misreading your goodness anyway. Your job is not to win a fair verdict from someone invested in distortion already. Your job is to recognize the pattern early enough to protect your mind and energy. Once you do, the friendship stops looking mysterious and starts looking painfully familiar very quickly. The supportive text, the delayed reply, the backhanded joke, the missing follow-through, the confusion. It was never random, it was a pattern built to keep closeness without true equality. And when you finally see that, you stop begging yourself to call it love anymore. You call it what it is, access mixed with envy and dressed as friendship instead. That clarity hurts at first, but confusion with costing you far more than truth ever. And truth is where your calm returns, your boundaries strengthen, and fake friends lose reach.